Okay, welcome to a veritable cabinet of curiosities. Today, we're diving into an explainer that unpacks 40 distinct historical mysteries. We're going to take fragments of local folklore, ancient curses, and even some highly classified government files and weave them all into one cohesive, fascinating journey. If you've ever wondered how myths actually get made, or what kind of weird truths are hiding inside declassified vaults, well, you're in exactly the right place.
So, where exactly does history end and folklore begin? That is absolutely the crucial question we're answering today. We're going to explore that exact fuzzy point where verifiable, documented facts start to blur into legends and shadows. And as you'll see, that line, it's a whole lot thinner than we usually think.
To make sense of all this, we've organized this explainer into 5 main exhibits: the lure of mysteries, monsters, cryptids and beasts, ancient myths and curses, declassified UFOs and aliens, and finally, some truly bizarre but true history.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the lure of mysteries.
40. That's the exact number of distinct mysteries cataloged in our source material today. From strange, unexplainable lights in the sky to giant creatures allegedly hiding in the deep, this number really proves our relentless, almost obsessive fascination with the unexplained. There is just something deeply, fundamentally human about wanting to peer into the dark and figure out what might be looking back at us.
Moving right along to Section 2, monsters, cryptids, and beasts.
Now, this first comparison is wild. It brilliantly illustrates how folklore might actually have roots in hard, prehistoric reality. Take Bigfoot, right? The legendary, massive, ape-like creature? While some theorize it could actually be a distant descendant or at least a cultural memory of Gigantopithecus, which was a very real prehistoric giant ape. It kind of makes you look at the whole legend in a completely different light. When you imagine ancient humans encountering lingering megafauna, it makes total sense how scientific fact could morph into an enduring folklore.
And we see the exact same kind of parallel in our oceans. The Loch Ness Monster has been a massive staple of cryptozoology for decades. But get this, while sweeping the Atlantic Ocean floor, researchers using sonar actually detected a massive 60-foot creature. Stuff like that makes experts legitimately question if something like a living megalodon, a massive prehistoric shark we thought went extinct eons ago, is just swimming down there right alongside our mythical sea monsters.
What's super fascinating here is how fear takes on local flavors. Up in Minnesota's Voyageurs National Park, the terrifying Wendigo is rooted deeply in Algonquian tradition. Down in the shadowed bayous of Louisiana, you've got the werewolf-like Rougarou. Over in the Smoky Mountains, a blue mist hides the legend of the Bujang. And then there's the Jersey Devil, which was quite literally forged out of colonial anxiety and moral panic. Out west, high above Big Sur's rugged coastline, the Dark Watchers stand as these eerie silhouettes born from a mix of indigenous belief and Spanish encounters. It's literally cultural anxiety mapping perfectly onto the geography of our legends.
Which brings us to Section 3, ancient myths and curses.
These are the stories built on human darkness. For instance, there was a very real chilling darkness that surrounded the cast and crew on the set of the first ever vampire film, Nosferatu. Or take La Llorona, the weeping spirit whose cries echo all the way back to the shattered cosmologies of the Aztec world. Then you've got physical mysteries that just boggle the mind. The Mary Celeste, a ship found eerily floating, fully stocked with cargo but completely devoid of passengers, just gone. Or Atlantis. Historians are actively investigating if an actual ancient Greek temple could be Plato's legendary lost palace. We don't just invent monsters out of thin air. We invent stories that attach themselves to our very real world.
And of course, we have to look at the eerie parallels found in the prophecies of Nostradamus. If we look at this impartially, according to some interpretations, he may have foretold the coming of antichrists, with some really intriguing historical parallels drawn to Napoleon Bonaparte as the first and Adolf Hitler as the second. But what's even more fascinating is his so-called lost book, which contains these strange, cryptic drawings that many believe hold coded clues and pretty dire warnings about our future.
All right, shifting gears from ancient texts to modern technology. We have Section 4, declassified UFOs and aliens.
Thousands, literally thousands of credible civilian UFO sightings have been reported across the United States. We're not talking about a few isolated fables here. This is a massive collection of data points that formed the bedrock for decades of official, documented government inquiry.
This timeline really proves that we're looking at a decades-long phenomenon.
It stretches way back to 1944 when WWI pilots spotted mysterious glowing orbs they called Foo Fighters. In '48, a pilot named George Gorman got into a literal dogfight with a UFO. Jump forward to 1994, kids in Zimbabwe witnessed glowing discs landing and sketched these eerie humanoid beings. And then we hit the modern era. In 2004 and 2015, the U.S. government officially declassified videos taken directly from Navy fighter jets, the famous USS Nimitz Tic Tac encounter and the USS Roosevelt Go Fast video. This whole topic went from pure folklore straight to official, undeniably real government footage.
And the sheer volume of stuff investigated under Project Blue Book, it's staggering. You've got inquiries into luminous green fireballs over New Mexico, the 1951 Lubbock Lights, which were witnessed by actual professors from Texas Technical College, not just random pranksters. They looked into the famous Betty and Barney Hill abduction, and even an incident during the Korean War where an unknown object was literally fired upon by soldiers. I mean, when the actual military assigns a task force to investigate a cryptid frenzy like the Flatwoods Monster, you know the line between myth and reality is severely blurred.
Finally, let's ground ourselves with Section 5, Bizarre But True History.
Okay, counter zombie dominance. Now, I know it sounds like a movie pitch, but I'd promise you it's not a joke. It is an actual, officially drafted contingency plan by the Pentagon in case of a zombie apocalypse. It just goes to show that reality and, well, government planning can be just as imaginative and totally bizarre as any folklore we could ever invent.
2. Now this one is just wild. 2 is the number of years a chicken miraculously lived without its head back in the 1940s. A literal headless chicken wandering around for 2 whole years. Just a perfect, bizarre little tension breaker for our cabinet of curiosities. Sometimes, biology itself is the biggest mystery.
These last few facts really drive home that verifiable history has its own profound secrets, like how a deadly 1962 car crash in North Carolina inadvertently uncovered a rare piece of American history hiding right in plain sight, or the solemn tomb of the unknown soldier, which famously once held 4 bodies, but today it only holds 3, a massive mystery of shifting identity. We also see the absolutely massive secret influence the Freemasons wielded over the very inception of the United States. And let's not forget the incredibly morbid, step-by-step process ancient cultures used for mummification. The truth, as they say, really is stranger than fiction. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final provocative thought. When we explore that shadowy space between folklore and truth, which side are we actually afraid of? Are we more terrified of the mythical monsters and weeping spirits that we invent in the dark? Or is it the bizarre truths, the declassified files, and the actual historical mysteries that we uncover in the light? Keep questioning what you think you know.